Hello and welcome to the Out of the Office podcast, where we do a deeper dive into the lives of the people we meet on our web series. Welcome to Out of the Office episode 3. Now today we're actually joined by one of my good friends, Emily, and Emily works as a summer camp counsellor. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about that.
Hi, I'm Emily, as Ellie's already said. Hi, Ellie. So I've spent the past 4 years in between studying English literature, working at summer camps, in different summer camps, one in Scotland, Camp Cooper, and one in Germany, Camp Adventure, as a camp director and camp counsellor.
No worries. So we've got some questions for you, some from us and some from our viewers. So let's start with, what does the job entail?
Okay, so it's quite a full-on job. So what you're going to do if you do want to become a camp counsellor is you apply online and then you go in summer for around about 2 months, depending on how long you'd like to work and depending on the camp. And you spend all your days working so you work from around 7:30-ish till 12 o'clock at night, and a bit longer even if matters arise, or if you want to socialise with the other counsellors, you stay up a bit longer than that.
No worries. So, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what other jobs do you do when it isn't summer?
Well, at the moment I'm doing my Masters in English and American Studies at the University of Paderborn, but also I'm working at a primary school on the side. I work as an English teacher, so that's kind of my passion project, but I just love camp. So it always pulls me back to camp. I feel like I've finished working at camp now. Well, at least I tell myself that, but I don't know if in summer I'm going to be able to stay away.
Oh no, I know you, and you'll be at camp again this summer. Probably, I can guarantee.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so our next question, and I think this does suit you quite a bit, is does working as a camp counsellor involve moving around a lot?
Yes, it involves so much moving around. Like, especially, I don't know, well, I've worked at 2 different camps, so the moving around entails different things at different camps. So Camp Cooper was a lot of singing, dancing, action, all that kind of stuff. A lot of walking uphill at Camp Cooper. Like, if you don't like hills, don't go there. Mm-hmm. Camp Adventure, more of the outdoorsy camps, so a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, a lot of running, climbing, stuff like that. But no dancing, not that much dancing. But so no matter what camp you pick, you're going to be moving a lot. So have fun.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the kind of Camp Cooper being so hilly, and it just gave me flashbacks to the art classroom being right at the top of that hill, and it just being awful.
Great calf muscles though, so you have to weigh the pros and cons.
Thighs of steel, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so following on for that question, we talked about kind of moving around a lot while you were there, but geographically, does it kind of involve moving, as in kind of moving house, moving kind of where you are in the world? Does it involve a lot of that as well?
Yeah, so I'm from Germany, obviously. Oh, well, not obviously, but I am from Germany. I'm half English, so that's why I sound like I'm from Yorkshire. But yes, it involves going wherever the camp is, obviously. So you will be uprooting, packing a massive bag and moving. Well, for me, it was to Scotland for 2 months, or to northern Germany, which is also like 6 hours away from where I live. So it does involve a lot of moving around, but it's so worth it. And you meet great people.
See, I remember the first day of camp meeting you for the first time and your suitcase being taller than you.
Yeah, I fit inside my suitcase.
Yes.
It's great.
Okay, so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's explore it a little bit deeper. How do you cope with the long hours, and do you tend to find yourself overworked while being a camp counsellor?
Well, the thing is that the good thing about camp is that it's a limited amount of time in the year. So it's not, obviously, if it was a job that's just every day, all year, people wouldn't be able to deal with that. But because you always have in the back of your mind, this is only for this amount of time, you can kind of compartmentalize how tired you are and just move everything back to, okay, I'll sleep when this is over. So I don't know. Yeah, it is a lot of work and it's difficult to deal with at times, but the good thing is that everyone's going through it with you. So like you have that amazing team and usually everybody's bone tired, but you work through it because it's just what you love doing and like, yeah, it's worth it in the end.
So our next question is, can you describe a counsellor to camper relationship? Kind of, is it more like big sisterly? Is it more holiday rep style? What would you describe it as?
It really depends on the age of the kids. So if you have really, really littles, then usually it would be more of a parent slash big sister relationship. Whereas with the older kids, I'd say it's more of a big sister relationship, but also you have to remain in that kind of role where you can also rely on that they'll listen to you. So you can't be too friendly with the kids. Like obviously you're going to be good friends with all the kids and you're going to cry when they leave. But
you didn't have to at me like that, Emily. Cut to me just constantly crying when it was leaving day.
True. I remember the first time the kids went home when you were there, and it's just like, why is this happening? What is this? It's just, yeah, it's amazing how attached you get to the kids, but you have to also keep that authority, obviously. So if they're about to run into a situation that's dangerous, they will stop if you shout them. So it is quite a difficult balance to keep, but it's definitely possible, and it's definitely a very distinct and specific, special relationship.
Kind of touching on those relationships, I guess, a bit more. Not to touch on too many things that we don't want to touch on here. But how would you describe a counsellor to counsellor relationship?
Ooh, that depends. So obviously, camp is like a microcosm. So it's going to be a lot of people in their late teens, early 20s, all squished into one part of the world, all very, very tired and overworked and needing people to support them. And so obviously, counsellor to counsellor relationships can be really awesome, and like you can have great friendships and like lifelong friendships that you've made with people there just because you've been through it together. And obviously there's camp romance, which is not always a good idea. and you know, there's tension, but you know, just the fact that everybody's from a different place, and that, you know, it's just a very unique combination of people that'll never be together again in that combination is just kind of cool, and what makes the job so different.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my most common phrases when we were at camp was joking that I kind of understood Love Island now.
Yes.
This kind of forcing people into one building, you're not allowed to leave, like, or at least it's
and
difficult
then add
to
lots
leave.
of screaming children.
Yeah.
So like Love Island, but also child minding. I don't know if that would be a good idea.
That's a new show. We can make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Catch us next season where we'll be Love Island with child minding. Who knew it was a thing?
What would you call that?
I don't think
Child Island.
I think we're getting a bit Lord of the Flies territory here. But no, okay, so you mentioned that you've worked at Camp Cooper and Camp Adventure. What I want to know, Emily, is how do camps tend to differ? You mentioned that some do dancing, some don't, some kind of focus on water sports that I've seen. What would you say is like the main differences between the camps that you worked at?
I feel like mainly, well, how they used to describe it at Camp Adventure, which I thought was quite accurate, is there's normal like outdoorsy adventure camps, and then there's Barbie camps. And Barbie camps are like where you get a bed and an ensuite bathroom, and like, I don't know, it's very posh in a way, you know, like kind of Camp Cooper was a Barbie camp.
I mean, it was set within a boarding school, so
exactly, it's like Hogwarts. It's very posh, Hogwarts, but with camp and singing and weird people. But
quick
disclaimer. Kind of Hogwarts.
Quick disclaimer: me and Emily were not part of a cult. I'm aware that we every day danced around a tree. and sang chants, but I'm just
Dave.
just giving the viewers that peace of mind. We weren't in a cult, don't worry. That's season 2.
When you take that out of context, it sounds so weird. Like, we danced around a tree. We did do that. That's very strange. Yeah. So it was kind of like Hogwarts, but yeah. So that's Camp Cooper. It's very like based around learning different skills. So like they had tennis, which is super posh, and like English teaching, which they also had at Camp Adventure, and a lot of drama, dancing, like music kind of centered things. Whereas Camp Adventure was a lot more adventure-y. So it was based a lot more on outdoor adventure, hiking, making fires. Everyone slept in tents. Some people for 2 months. It's an experience. Like mostly cold showers. Just like a lot of survival-y kind of stuff, which is also really amazing. Like there's just so many sides to what camp can do, and it's just endless opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that I think anyone who wanted to look at maybe joining the camp, things like that, because there are so many all over the world and all of them do such different things, it is super easy to find the one that is completely right for you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you're always like drawn back to the one where you started, though.
I mean,
so,
again, yeah. I totally get that.
I mean, for me, it's Camp Adventure. For you, it's Camp Cooper. Like, there's a camp home for everyone.
Yeah.
That's kind of special, I think.
So we're now going to move on to our user questions, and that's where some of the fans of the show have written in and given us questions for you. So Ellie, not me, Ellie, a different Ellie, would like to know, do you ever get homesick, and how do you manage it?
I've never had that much of a problem with homesickness. It's just like in general, I've never really had that much of a problem with that, even when I was smaller and went to camp. But if I do, like I had at Camp Cooper, I had a playlist on my phone of German songs, which I used to listen to, and it used to scare my friends a little bit when I used to like have, German songs are scary. German sounds scary, but it's actually quite nice. So yeah. That was one thing, but like also you have to realize that you are going to be going home after 2 months, so it's not really worth being homesick, because when you go home from camp, you're just going to miss camp. So what's the use of being homesick if you could just be enjoying the experience?
Yeah, I can remember coming home, and like the one thing that I noticed more than anything was like after spending 2 months in like a dormitory with 6 of us sleeping in the same room, like coming home to it just being me in my bedroom, I was like, I can't sleep without hearing the noises of 6 other people.
Although strange. I did sleep with headphones though. Like obviously you were like laying across from me, but I was so used to like waking up and seeing you kind of like sprawled out, or like I don't know, it was not having you across from me.
Yeah. See, I would constantly wake up to just like the sounds, like very muffled sounds of like Harry Potter themed podcasts, just kind of. Oh, it's Emily. Okay. But
that's me.
But yeah, our next question comes from Cameron, and he wants to know, is it hard when kids tell you about their personal lives from home? For example, if they spoke about bullying at school and you couldn't do anything about it?
Yeah, well, obviously not all of it is sunshine and rainbows, and you have to realize with kids you have a responsibility to listen and to be there for them, and to maybe give them something that they don't have at home, like support system and just someone who wants to help. But obviously there's a limit to what you can do. Like there's been some experiences that I have had where I've had to like think what I was going to do with information. It's difficult to have to deal with that as a camp counsellor, and especially because you're not, like, obviously you're trained at the beginning, but it's a completely different issue when you're confronted with that child that needs your help. But obviously you just do your best, and that's better than, doing nothing. And people don't realize how big of a role they play for these kids. Like, I know that I still remember my camp counselors from when I was a kid, really well. And like, obviously for counselors, it's you go from week to week and the kids swap out, and then next year they come running back. It's like, hi, Em. And I'm like, who are you? I remember you. I kind of remember you. What's your name? But for the kids, like, it's so much bigger of a deal. Like, you mean so much, and that's like part of that job, and it's just like difficult but so special at the same time.
No worries. Well, we like to end here at Out of the Office on one question and one question only. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Emily. If you were a camp director again, would you hire me?
Obviously, yes. Instantly.
See, I knew I could count on you.
Yeah, like, why would I not? Camp needs a specific type of person. Like, camp people, like, it's really strange because you meet people outside of camp and you're like, you would be a good camp person. And they're like, sorry, excuse me, what's that? Because they think it's a cult. But like, it takes a very specific type of human.
Not a cult. Not a cult.
Not a cult.
Not a cult.
We dance around trees and fires, but it's not a cult.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us. I feel like even though we were there together in our camp counsellor glory, I feel like I have learned a lot more about the camps that exist outside of Camp Cooper. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll get out to Germany as soon as I can, I promise.
Please do. I'm vaccinated, so you can come.
Incredible. See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, that was today's episode of the Out of the Office podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you'd like to, we would really appreciate a like and a comment down below. And while you're down there, the subscribe button is like really close by, so you may as well click that as well. A big thank you to all of the interviewees for getting involved. It really does help to make this show happen. Now, if you would like to submit yourself for a future episode, or even just submit a question for one of our future episodes, you can do so by commenting on any of our social media posts or submitting yourself via the website. Okay, bye!